Welcome back to some more geometry. Today, we're applying some of our trigonometric information ratios that we learned in the last video. So let's start with kind of reviewing our trig functions. So remember, our sine of theta, so our sine of our angle, is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Okay? Our cosine of theta is equal to taking the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. Actually, I told you wrong. Hypotenuse. I just spaced out right there. Right there. It's not opposite and adjacent. It's opposite and hypotenuse. Come on, class. Should have let me know. And then our tangent of theta is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. So that's our opposite and adjacent. So apologize for that. All right, so key terminologies that you're going to run into in this lesson is we're talking about angles of elevation and angles of depression. Let's start with angles of elevation. So from a horizontal line on a person on the ground or below what they're looking at, they're going to look upwards towards an object, whether it's the top of something or what they're trying to perceive or they're trying to measure. This is called an angle of elevation because you're going from a normal horizontal position upwards towards what you're looking for. And vice versa, angle of depression is when you are at horizontal eye level looking downwards towards something. Now, kind of fun fact, if you guys remember from parallel lines, when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, what's the relationship of these two angles right here? They are congruent. They are alternate interior angles. So if maybe an angle exists out here, you need it on the other side, understand these are congruent for sure. So let's look at our first example. This whole lesson is just word problems and then the other half. So there's nothing new. It's all based off our trig functions. So if we know how to set them up, we can figure out all the problems. We're either going to be looking for an angle, an opposite side or hypotenuse, or any of the other ones combination here. So start with our first one here. So Odysseus is sailing back from the Trojan War. He's hit by a bad storm. Then Odysseus' boat sprung a leak, and he knows that at most he has maybe 100 feet he can travel before he sinks. So he knows that the lighthouse is 250 feet high. So 250 feet high from bottom to top. And he knows that he has an angle of elevation from himself to the top of the tower of 48 degrees. 48 degrees. The question is, will Odysseus make it to land before he sinks? So this is a yes or no question. But to figure that out, what information on here in a little triangle do we need to know? Well, we need to know how far he is from the lighthouse. So based off this, we have, this would be our theta here. This is our opposite. This is our adjacent. Which trig function should we use, class? Yeah, it should be tangent. So we'll do tangent of 48 equals opposite 250 divided by adjacent x. So all the other problems that we had before, we always had to take, we had the number at the bottom in our unknown on top. So we just multiply both sides by the denominator to isolate x. But here we have the x in the denominator. So we're going to have to do a little bit of division here, or still multiplication, but we're going to multiply the x to both sides. And doing so, it gets it out of the denominator on one problem, and then it brings it up to the numerator. So now we have x tangent of 48 equals 250. Now, class, if I need to get rid of tangent of 48 because I need x by itself, what would we do? Yeah, it's opposite. We're going to divide by tangent of 48. And you're allowed to do that. You can divide by the entire thing. It's okay. It's kind of like one number right there. So that gives us x equals whatever 250 over tangent of 48 is. So that's what you're going to put in the calculator. So put 250 divided by tangent 48. When you do, you should round it to one decimal. You get 225.1010111, or just 1. This is feet. So the question is, will he make it to land before he boat sinks? He won't. And that's the start of the Odyssey. So he won't. The answer is no to this problem. No. Let's look at our next problem here. In our next problem, we're going to look at a search and rescue team. They're airlifting people out of a scene of a boat crash. Should have had a boat somewhere around here. Now, they can't get too close, or else they'll force the people down and away from where they're at. So what they have to do is they're going to have to drop in front of them and swim to them. Now, they are cruising at an altitude of 18 feet for sure, and they're at an angle of depression of 42 degrees. 42 degrees from the person right there. The question is, how far will this person have to swim to get to the rescuer, swim to get to our person that's in the water? So we're looking for this side. So just like we said earlier, angles of depression have a congruent partner. It's the angle of elevation. They're kind of congruent to each other. Oh, wrong way. Went the wrong way on that. Oops. Back. There we go. Angle of elevation and angle of depression, they're alternating anterior to each other. So if there's a 42 out here, there's also a 42 down here. So then we can use this as our theta. They kind of fit inside of our triangle. You're also going to create a triangle out here, but just preference. So like we said, we're cruising at an altitude of 18 feet and we got to swim to the person. So we have our opposite. We are looking for our adjacent. So which trig function are we using, class? Yeah, we're using tangent again. Tangent of 42 equals my opposite over my adjacent here. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and multiply both sides by x. So times x times x. Cancels out on one side. We got x times tangent 42 equals 18. And we're going to divide by tangent of 42 on both sides. Divide by tangent 42. This is what's going to go to calculus. So x equals whatever 18 divided by tangent of 42. And you do that in the calculator, you should get 19.9910 or roughly 20 feet. All right, that's the first part of the assignment for today. Let's look at the next part right here. So the other half here is talking about finding areas of a triangle. Now, if you remember, the formula for area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. But here's the thing. Sometimes you're not given a height. There's no way to figure out. More times than not, you can probably do the Pythagorean theorem, do a sine or a cosine equation to do that. But because we have no reference as far as what the length of part of the triangle will be, it's going to be impossible to do that. So what we did figure out is that if you take two sides of a triangle and multiply that times the sine of the angle divided by 2, then you can figure out. So another way to kind of write this, because this is how it's presented to you in the book, and this is why I present it to you that way. But another way to write this is taking a times b over 2, then divided by 2, times sine of our angle, in this case, angle C. So looking at this as a kind of referring back to this, A, B, C being the angle in between. And that's the main part, that the C is the included angle or the angle in between the two sides, as you'll run into a problem in the other example. So here's our angle and here's our two sides. The angle's in between the two sides, so we're good. We have everything we need. We're going to do 14.1 times 11.1 all over 2 times the sine of our angle, 47. All right, so you do 14.1 times 11.1. When I do this, I'll do that first and then hit divided by 2 to get a number. You get roughly 78.255, and then take that times sine of 47. Okay, when doing so, if you've done correctly, you should get roughly 57.2 degrees. Actually, no, not degrees. This is area, so units square. So square units, because it's a unit of measurement. Let's try that one more time. So pause here and try it. But on this one, again, we have our A and B. It doesn't matter which one you call A and B, just to know they have to be next to each other. And our angle is the one in between. In this case is up here, but we don't have our theta. What's going on here? We don't have that. So best way to kind of do that is find the angle. So we're going to go ahead and take 180 minus 34 minus 58. When you do that, you get roughly 88 degrees. So not roughly, exactly 88 degrees. So this angle is 88. So now we have everything we need to set up a problem. We'll take 6.7 times 5.7 divided by 2. And we're going to take that times the sine of 88. So plug that in your calculator, 6.7 times 5.7 divided by 2. You get roughly 19.09. You're going to take that times the sine of 88. Do it correctly, you should get 19.08 or 19.1 units square. And that is 9.6 in a nutshell. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Other than that, have a great day. Bye.